Oh, yeah, I got it. All right.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Rock with Kenny C. I had about a month off some stuff, been very busy with a lot of things, but been excited because I've got a good friend of mine from the last couple of years. And he is a filmmaker, screenwriter, and fellow Christian. This is Stephen Hancock. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Kenny, it's good to be here. Glad to
Good.
see you.
Awesome.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, man, I'm hanging in there, getting things happening. So listen, man, like a lot of people, like I said, I have a lot of different, I have authors and stuff. So you're really the first film person I've had on here, but I really
Oh,
like
okay.
so I think it's really cool. I think like I said, mainly I think we've been talking now because you had a new you had a screenplay for a Christian film that just came out called Airborne.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to watch it on Prime the other day, and actually, I think I just bought it because I was just like, if I'm going to pay the same thing to rent it, I just bought it. And I can watch it whenever and have some friends
Right.
over and stuff. So pretty cool. But listen, so let's talk about a little bit about you, and we'll get into your film stuff because originally when I met you, we didn't know each other as being Christians. We were just people at a science fiction type fantasy con called Mysticon in Roanoke,
Mm-hmm.
Virginia. And we got to know each other over time because the first time I saw you there, you were doing like some Doctor Who fanfics. And I was
Right. Yep.
into it. I was like, whoa. And so it's really interesting. I don't think people will probably know this, but you jumped the train before anybody else with you had a Doctor Who female-led Doctor Who film before Doctor Who actually did it.
That's true. Yeah. And, and it was kind of interesting how that came about because I'd just done a little film project that was a recruitment movie, more or less, for a reenacting group I did. And after that, I enjoyed the process. I'm like, oh, I wonder how, I wonder what I could do next because I really got into it. So anyway, somebody I went to high school with who got into acting, Lily Nelson,
Okay.
was also a Doctor Who fan, and one of the things she joked about when that was the time Matt Smith announced he was leaving the show,
Right.
and she half joke, I say half jokingly because I think she really would love to be on the show, but but she jokingly said on her Facebook or Twitter, Lily Nelson, 12th for the 12th Doctor, I'm willing to be a ginger. And that was just kind of like, I got in contact with her. It's like, hey, Lily, I'm getting into filmmaking. How would you like to, would you be interested in Doctor Who fan film? And she jumped on it. And, we
That's
kind of worked
awesome.
on. So, yeah, we kind of worked on the project. And, that first one, A Dame to Kill, I have I go back and watch that one occasionally. And it's, you can tell it's rough around the edges. But, we didn't have the big, budget.
Sure.
But, I mean, you could tell everybody, all of us on that group in that crew had the heart. We just enjoyed doing it. There was a lot of fun on set. We weren't, getting on, what we didn't approach it as, we did, we wanted it to be serious film, but at the same time, we're here to have fun, enjoy ourselves, creating something we love. And that's really shows even through all the rough elements of it.
Yeah, I think when I first saw it, and I want to think this was probably in the 2015, maybe.
Yep. Yeah, that's when 24 we released in 2014, and then our first convention appearance was Mysticon 2015.
Yep.
Which that was a big, it was like first time I'd ever been to any kind of convention in a while, but also the first time I'd ever been to a film festival. And I was like, so I was like, this was big. And then to go into our first film festival and win some awards, that was a big,
no, that's what I remember. Yeah, I remember. So it's really funny because when I see these things being done, I don't know your background. I don't know your stuff. I'm just watching. I was like, I approach it and I go, if I didn't have any money, this is what it is, which is what most of those movies are. And let's be honest, man, there's some real clunkers. I've seen some terrible movies and stuff. But if you have some decent actors and that heart in it, you go, oh, this is really good. And Lily was fantastic. So much so that you guys made two.
We did a second one, and the second one was also, we decided, we did the first one. It had the, the niche of female doctor, so I was like, but part of me was like, well, I don't want to do another one just to do another one. I want to do something original with it. And it just so happened, it's like I was watching, me and my dad were hanging out. We were watching the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was the episode Hush with the gentleman.
Yeah.
And the thing that clicked with me, and I'm like, this might be far-fetched, this might be a crazy idea, but let's have the doctor run into the gentleman. Let's see how that goes.
That was cool. Yeah.
And that was the original pull of the story. And then we also ended up adding, we ended up having to recast a role in the series. And it eventually became, well, let's have some fun with this too, because we ended up so we ended up doing a story that not only was crossover with Buffy, but we were having fun with the fact that we were bringing a new actor in, and it's like, let's have fun with it and just kind of joke with it, be like,
yeah. And that and the actor you brought in, was that Michael Williams?
That was Michael Williams. Yep. That was that was a boom for us, and
yeah.
I enjoyed the first guy we worked with. I enjoyed working with him, and we only ended up recasting because he couldn't do any more because he was moving. And but I think Michael was just, that was a dream,
Absolutely.
recasting.
Absolutely.
So, and I just remember watching, and you don't even know what he's going to do. You're not giving him a lot of direction. You're just, and he'll tell you, I've got some ideas. I'll just do it as we go along. It's like, yeah, that's fine. And then as you watch what he's doing, it's like, you're laughing. You're like, I remember that one shot where he all of a sudden starts doing the dance from the dude's dance from Big Lebowski. I'm over there on the side, just, I'm literally.
He's a car.
Yeah. And then finally I yelled cut, and I was like, the dude? He's like, why not? And I was like, of course, why not? It's
why not? Exactly. Captured the magic, man. That's great. That's fantastic. But it's really good. It's like I said, we met through Mysticon and a lot of independent film things that I love to go see that stuff. But somewhere along the line, we realized that we were both Christians. We were brothers in Christ. I'm not sure when that occurred, but sometime it was like, we knew we were at a convention, and the majority of the people there are not Christians. I mean, there's but I love all these people. I do some stuff I love with it, but it was really cool because we kind of bonded over that. Like, oh, cool. So we had some, some good things with this. Now, here's the thing: you did the Doctor Who stuff, which I love because I'm a science fiction fan. I love that kind of stuff. But I feel like you really your field of where your movies really shine the most for me was like Our War, your Civil War stuff that you're doing. Let's see that. What was the other one that you had with the oh my gosh, the name of it. It's the one with the creek at the river.
Oh, the Found by the River. Yeah. That short film. Yeah.
That I love that one, man. That was a great one. I own Our War. I have that one on DVD. I bought that back when you had the thing onto it. So, but you have a real thing for Civil War history and stuff too.
I do. And that comes from, just growing up, with, started off with, having a dad who was, kind of interested in the history. And, I think where, and where it got me and where I started getting interested was it was actually film. And my dad let me sit up and watch over 2 nights. It was a 6-hour movie about Gettysburg.
Oh, yeah.
And this movie, my dad, I told me he didn't know if I was going to like it, but he'll never forget his, 10 year. I was 10 years old at the time.
Right.
And for that whole movie, I was glued. I was like drawn in. And it wasn't just, the fact that it was history. It wasn't just, facts and figures. It was human characters experiencing real things. And I think that's what drew me in. Is it, of course, as a kid, I was like loving the big scale of it all, like these big battle scenes. But at the same time, you could feel that personal story with these people. And it didn't matter whether, you're watching Robert E. Lee or, Union officers like Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. You connected with those characters and what they believed in. So, that's what grabbed me. And I think when I got into filmmaking, I knew that's something I wanted to do. In fact, at one point before I ended up leaving, I did leave the Doctor Who project to pursue some other, big opportunities.
Yeah.
But I know at one point, me and Lily and Rebecca Larkin were discussing doing an episode where they ended up landing right in the middle of the Civil War. And, so I thought that, it was going to come up if I continued on with it. But, I had some really amazing opportunities come my way that I was like, I can't pass that up. Our War came up, and my friend and JD Mayo, who was, doing it. He wanted me to be a part of it originally as an actor, but as I was getting into the behind the scenes stuff, he was like, I really need some help. I'm getting ready to do some surgery, get some surgeries done. I really need some help getting stuff going on. I was like, sure, I'll help out. So, that was the big opportunity for me. I was like, man, working in my, passion area of history and filmmaking. I just couldn't pass it up at all. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And what's amazing is as time went on, you actually put in some elements of your faith inside these movies, and I thought that was really good because I could see this crossover you were bringing in, and I thought that was great. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So, and I kind of see that now you've kind of got this nice niche going on, and so your latest project is Airborne.
Right.
It's available on Amazon Prime right now. I was hoping to come see the premiere, and we didn't get to go in because of all the COVID stuff's going on. We had to kind of not be able to do that, but I did get to watch it here a couple weeks ago. I bought it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. I think a lot of people would be impressed. There's some great actors. The screenplay is really great, man. I really enjoyed it. I kind of know where you go with that. Yeah, no, I think you did a great job with it, man. I was really cool. I think some people to me, it doesn't have to have a big budget. Real people, real dialogue. That's all it really takes with that. So how did you get involved with Airborne?
Well, a lot of it came from the fact that when I did Our War, it was I was thinking I keep thinking this was the first time I ever worked with Brigham McNeely, but he reminded me after we started doing callbacks with him that we had worked on the set of a documentary series called Legends and Lies, and we had been on that set. And I remembered, and then when I watched, I was like, "Oh yeah, there he is." Oh, but wow. Brigham is a filmmaker based out of Morganton, and we kind of bonded, not just over this film, but we're me and him are both also very very devout in our faith. So he wanted to, he had done some films, usually some out of his own pocket, but he's also started doing some great ways of working with producers and people get funding, but. So I was first thing I worked on him with there was this movie he did. Let's see, I'm trying to remember which one it was. He had me come in to do some script editing on a movie he did called The Holy Heist, which also on Amazon Prime. And then he wanted me to come in and script a Christmas movie for him. He wanted to do this really awesome idea for a Christmas film that was going to be kind of not really the antithesis of what Hallmark does. We've seen, Hallmark pretty much has one script that they kind of just change characters and stuff.
The Hallmark formula.
The Hallmark formula, which works. I mean, people works. Keep watching it, but he wanted to do something, and and of course when we discussed it, he said he wanted to escape the Hallmark trappings. I'm like, yeah, but it's a Christmas movie, you kind of have to a little bit. So we wrote this movie. He was actually getting it he had it cast, he had sets, locations, he was gearing up for it, and then as that one line goes in at the beginning of the movie of Airborne, and then the virus so he knew it was that because the Christmas movie was going to be big. It was going to be big locations, hundreds of extras on big days, so he was like, he told me, he's like, we just can't do this in this right now because of what's going on. So but Brigham, and one of the things I love about Brigham, in addition to being a Christian, is he's not a man who wants to sit and wait around. He knew he was going to have to sit on the Christmas movie, but then he's like telling me, Stephen, I can't sit. I got to do something. Got to do something. So he told me about this. He showed me a video of this character he had created with his character in the movie. It was just a little video where he's kind of interviewing. And I was like, that was interesting. And then we ended up talking, and his pitch to me was, we were talking. He's like, Steve, bro, you and I know this, more than likely this virus, this pandemic's not going to be as bad as it is. I was like, yeah. I mean, if we play everything right, it should be fine. But he's like, but what if it does get as bad as people say? He's like, I kind of like to explore that. So I was like, that's an interesting concept. And he said, this character I showed you this video, I kind of wanted that character to be in it. And so it just kind of went from there. I went over, and he gives me free reign. He gives me a basic gel of an idea, maybe just a couple of sentences about what he would like. And then he let me go off and just come up with the story. And so I wrote the outline for him, and then wrote the script. And originally he said, I want to keep it under 10 people, not just behind just the cast, but everybody, cast, crew. So that was the limit, was 10 people. But as usually happens, I end up writing a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger ideas. But then, finally I sent him to it, and he read the first draft, and we started, as we were talking about, some changes we could make to it. The first thing he said was, it's a little bit bigger than I expected, but I really want to do this movie. So I was like, all right. So, and so we tweaked it a little bit. And then after I finally finished the final draft, I sent it to him, and he said, all right, we're good to go. And then within a week he was filming.
Wow.
He was, so.
So can you give us a little synopsis on what Airborne is about?
Oh yeah, certainly. So Airborne, the basic premise, it's about a young man who is, he's got he starts off in the movie, he's got a family, he's working, a job, and got a house that's small, but and basically everything he needs, and just, he's getting, he's, in this situation that's, really settled down. And then all of a sudden, this huge pandemic hits the world, not unsimilar to what COVID-19 did, but also, the effects
much
of
worse.
Yes, yeah. Much worse. Billions get infected, around, a couple 100 million die. He and his whole family gets it, but unlike, his wife and his daughter die, but he survives. And so, and when he finally gets out of the hospital, he's fine. Well, it's not just, the pandemic, the governments are falling, rioting in the streets, pretty much governments are collapsing. And so when he gets out of the hospital, he is, having to find his place in a world that's forever changed. And, he ends up, leaving everything behind to go out and not realizing how dangerous the world is going to be. So basically, he teams up with a couple of former Army veterans, and they teach him how to survive in the new world. And they also come into contact with this group called, and I was thinking, well, what's some good names for villainous groups? And I remember, I kind of took the Illuminati, which is kind of the big bad, that a lot of people look at. And just changed it to, this group called Illuminatus, which is, this group that's using the pandemic, using the new, this world to kind of get rid of all religion, thinking that's the cause of everything. So, and, we mentioned that it's not just Christianity, but Christianity is the top on their list for, which, is kind of, slightly allegorical for some of what's going on, because you see it in the world, that there are, a lot not as bad in America, but in other parts of the world, Christianity is despised and persecuted all over the world. So, so we're kind of bringing it to our, what would it be like if that was going on in our own country, in a sense. But so, and of course, one of the guys he ends up, that he's joined ends up his brother's one of the Illuminatus leaders. So, it's kind of like, you kind of see that dynamic. So basically, the journey is to find this place they call Safe Haven, which is this kind of almost starts off as like a mythical place where people can come who can rebuild. So it's kind of their, his journey with these people to this place, while also coming into contact with the Illuminatus. So
and it's also it's a faith journey too, because he is not really a Christian when all this happens. His wife and daughter were, but he comes across like he wasn't really into the whole thing, and that as the time goes on, he comes across like, I love the fact that the Rangers, that the toughest guys that were the thing, were also the most Christian. They had such faith and were trying to convey that to him, and I thought that was really good. The actors did a great job with that too, man. So and
that was really important to us, that it be, because me, Brigham, are both Christians, and I won't say he could considers himself completely what would be the Christian filmmaking niche, because one of the things he does that a lot of faith-based films won't do, and I'm not knocking faith-based movies, there's some I really love, but he likes to really get into the nitty gritty, realistic, world events, because he said that he just wants it to be as real as possible, even if we're doing something like a highly this fictionalized future world that could exist one day, but he wants to make it feel grounded and so that was kind of his another goal, make it as gritty as possible, because this is we're not, because he's one of those that he wants that realism. He wants, that,
Sure.
we are talking about the spiritual warfare, but at the same time, we live in a world where it seems like it doesn't, unless you're really looking for it, you can't find the spiritual the actual spiritual, aspects of it. But, I was very, so it was a very complex story, with a lot of different elements. And I was just I was very humbled by this experience, because I was like, if I do this right, this is going to be the first script I've ever written that's going to be produced. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I treated it as that, serious of an element. But, I just enjoyed this is probably the most fun script I've ever, or what most joy I've ever had writing the script. Because I was
right,
like,
right.
because you get to go on that journey with the right characters as you're writing. And when you reach the climax, it's like, you can't help at the end go, whoo.
Yeah, it was good, man. I enjoyed the movie thoroughly. So I hope some people will check it out. And it's you can rent it and buy it on Amazon Prime.
You can. I think, right now it's I know I think it's like $6.99 or $7.99 to rent, but for an extra couple bucks you can just buy it and watch it whenever. So
yeah, that's what I looked at. I was like, $9.99, own it. I'll just keep it. And it's good to have on stuff and show some people. So yeah, it's very good, man. So what now? Some other things, aspects of stuff. What's next for you now, man? I know a lot of your background. What's going on with that? Are you still thinking you're gonna do any more faith-based type films, or what's going on?
Well, yeah. So we talked about the Fountain by the River little short I did, and that's actually a proof of concept for a I hope will one day be a feature-length film about that story, which is based on a true story of a baptism that took place in the Civil War, that men from both sides came to the side of the river, and instead of shooting each other, they're all experiencing this, one unifying moment, this one thing that brings them all together, which is their faith in Christ. And and I always tell people, even if I don't do movies that are going to be strictly faith-based, there's got to be something in there that
absolutely.
So even if it's not in your face, it's going to be a part of the story.
To me, I'm doing some music things, project stuff, and it is some more faith-based stuff. But I always tell people, it's like, you can. I enjoyed almost everything you've put out so far. I've liked all the different ones. I loved your science fiction. I loved your Civil War type thing. It was nice to see this move into a faith-based stuff. I really thought it was a great transition what's going on with it. You also had another movie that which was I want to say it was called Laura.
Yeah, and that's my current project, and that was interesting how that came about. I met a guy off of Facebook who lives up the foothills, and he's lives kind of in that area where the story took place, the story of Tom Dooley, local legend in North Carolina, and the kind of this mystery to this day surrounding the murder of this young girl named Laura Foster, and so, he contacted me. I went up to visit him, and, we just kind of talked, and we ended up, I ended up cranking out a feature length script. Originally it was going to only be like a 20-page, originally we were envisioning 20-page short film, but then then when I started writing, I was like 35, 40 pages in, I was like, dude, we got a feature. I told him we got a feature.
Right.
So, but so we have done a short, it's also going to be a proof of concept film, but it's going to be also a more of a beginning, middle, and end short film as well. But and this has kind of been I moved this to my main project, and one of the reasons I did is my buddy Charles Suits, who I became really good friends with, who really was heading this project up. He ended up getting very sick, and it wasn't COVID, but he ended up getting very sick with some stuff, and unfortunately he passed away about, it's almost been 2 years. So after he passed away, I thought, what better way to honor his memory than to get this film finished. So that's kind of where we're going. And but again, with it, even though it's murder mystery, romance, it is kind of a romantic film, I still have incorporated, when we were talking about, I was like, we got to have some faith-based elements in here, and not being not full on preaching, but I told him this would be good at place, even though we're not dealing with like some of the sleazier aspects of the story, and there are sleazy aspects of the story that he didn't want to focus on, and somebody who had advised him, who was a historian and on it, said, you don't need to deal with all that. So
Right.
I said, but we could, even though we don't deal with the, those nastier aspects of the story, we ought to have like a preaching scene where it's like guys mentioning it, so it's hinted at, even though we don't full on bring it in. But
okay,
his main goal was, what he wanted to do is tell a story, and he believes that Tom Dooley didn't kill this girl, and so we wanted to keep that and element. And I'm working with Carrie Ann Hunt, actress out of Georgia, and she's come on as producer and also helped write some of the story. And and it's just, we're now doing this to honor Charles, and hope, and if we can get, the full feature film made, that's going to be, his legacy, and
that's great. I think I've seen some of the proof of concept. I think I think you may have sent it to me a year ago or so. I do remember at some point.
I sent you. Yeah, we it's kind of interesting. We did we did shoot a short,
that's right,
proof of concept, the little 6-7 minute film that
yeah.
we ended up, after watching it, getting some feedback on it. We decided to do what no filmmaker wants to do, but sometimes it's the best thing. Go back, redo it, make it better. So we did that, and it, the version we've got coming out now, it's still in the editing phase, but a lot of what we saw was very good. I think we're going to have something very, very special on our hands with this short film.
Fantastic. That's great, man. Yeah, dude. I mainly, like I said, I'd seen your stuff and your different things, and just with my show now, I cover music, a little bit of everything, but it's definitely part of my ministry of what's going on with life. I just think it's really cool to share different aspects of it. Your films,
right,
stuff has aspects to it, shows into it, and even to me, even if it's like even films that are not like the Doctor Who stuff, your stuff isn't it isn't anything out there that I couldn't show to people. It's not anything. Your stuff's still pretty clean. It's pretty clean.
That's the thing I tell people about, is that some of my favorite movies are I've got a lot of favorite films that have stuff in there that
yeah, me too, absolutely,
you wouldn't want to put in your own movie. I even watch there was this story one I don't know if you know Chris Moore, who who goes up to Mysticon with some of his films.
Oh, Christopher. Yeah.
Christopher Moore, I'm like, he's a great guy and I enjoy his films, but I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, his stuff's over the top. He does some good, he has some great movies. You just got to like, what's the one? Is Knob Goblins one of his?
Knob Goblins. Oh, but and then he did another one after that. I can't remember the name of it, but
yeah,
I saw it. I'm like,
he's got. I'm
like, oh my!
It is.
Like,
but it's like I tell people, man. I think he's very talented, man. I think
he's a great filmmaker and a good guy to talk with.
I can enjoy that and not, So yeah, I like a lot of the independent guys is doing stuff around here. I think North Carolina has a great independent scene.
We do. We have a great group of guys down here, and I mean I told myself going in there, I'm not going to do, I can't, I want to keep my films family friendly, because, that's
absolutely, man.
And of course, also jokingly say, I want my parents to be able to see everything I make.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think that's great, man. There's nothing wrong, man. Some of my favorite independent movie guys, some of the stuff I would never probably do myself, but that's who they are and that's their creative aspect. Yep. I love that what they do, man. There's some great ones around here. So, but mainly, man, I want to bring you on kind of just because we're Christian brothers, man. I want to support you in what you're doing. Hopefully get some people to check out the movie and look and see what else stuff you're doing, man. I think you've got a lot of great things happening, and to me, I love that. And that's, like I said, I really thought Airborne was a big jump for me, because from everything I've seen I've watched it grow bigger and bigger. And Airborne was a pretty big jump into, a feature film, which was a big jump. I mean, it was and I was like, when I saw it and there it was, name call, I was like, man, I mean, it was like, you're proud. You're like, I know that guy.
Exactly.
Awesome. That was cool.
Yeah, that was great for me too. And I mean, I got to see it with Brigham, his at the screening in Hickory.
Oh yeah.
And my parents got to come along.
Oh, that's awesome.
And of course, I was kind of curious as to what they were going to think of it, but because I told them, it's nothing, too over, it's not, it's got a little bit of violence, a little bit, sure. But it's not, I told them, like I said, I want my parents to watch every movie I see, but it's just like my dad's sitting next to me, and of course my name comes up, and he's, as writer, he's like, yeah, there's my son right there, but I mean, that was a proud moment, I think, for them, but also for me, and one of the things, I think is important for me is kind of like, and it kind of goes back to what Jesus said about having, the faith of a child, and I still have that childlike feeling about things. And I was watching that movie sitting on the big screen, I was enjoying it. I'm just sitting there having to pinch myself. It's like,
right.
Did I read this? Is that my name up there? It's like, so, it's definitely something I'm really, I feel really blessed to do. And I really felt like, God has called me into several different things. And I think filmmaking, he really is going to be a part of my ministry. Definitely. Cause, it's hard for me to get up and preach, to, people, but if I can do something film wise and get the word out there, that is a ministry under itself.
It is. As like I said, it's like, even with the movie, your screenplay, it lays out, it is preaching a little bit, because it is telling a little bit of what you need to know, what's going on with it. But it's also in a way that people that might not go to church would watch your movie and be interested and go, I want to know more. Why did this guy decide this was the way to go after all the things that were so terrible? He found God on this journey, and that's what I really liked. I loved that. I thought the ending was great, man. I thought it had great stuff. There's some good action scenes. Who was the main the main guy that's one of the Ranger guys? And I want to say Bo.
Yeah, Bo. And when I heard he was going to be in it,
I don't know what is his name?
Yeah, but
do you know what his name?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
I knew when I watched
Robert Creighton. That's who that is. I remember now.
I remember you were talking about it, and I was like, this guy looks so familiar. And you're like, hey man, he was in. Did you say Ant-Man?
Yeah, in the opening scene where Scott Lang is getting ready to leave, and they're doing that little thing for him, and the guy's punching him, and that's that is the guy who punches him in the movie is.
Yeah, I remember that.
One of our leads. So
pretty cool.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's cool. When I heard he was going to get cast in that, and he was also going to be cast in that he was going to be in the Christmas movie we did, but even though that fell through, I was really glad we were able to keep him on for this production, because he's very good in this role, very believable.
Yeah, he's a great actor. I enjoyed him a lot. I thought he added a lot to it. He brought a lot of realism, and he's a really good actor. So I hope that the Christmas thing gets to happen, because it sounds like a great project, and it just maybe wasn't the time. I tell it with everybody. I was like, sometimes things.
Yeah, God has timing that's better than our timing. We may not like that some has been delayed, but I'm telling people, that the Christmas movie got delayed, but because we didn't get to do this Christmas movie, we got Airborne. So that came out of it, which was a great experience in its own right. So, we've talked about the Christmas movie, and we've talked about, I just finished writing another one for him that he's probably going to work on here in the near future. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. NDA stuff, I can't really share it publicly.
Sure,
but
absolutely.
It's another one I'm excited about, and it's and with Laura and this winter, I'm going to try and do a World War II movie, a little World War II
awesome.
short, if I can get it going. It's also going to have some faith-based elements in it, but it's also kind of a nod and nod to my family who was in the war. So
wow. That's
so
great.
I've got a lot of stuff going on, and God's been good. And
where can people find you, or to find out more about what you do? Facebook? What's your
Facebook? You can Steve. You can follow me on Facebook. My private filmmaking Facebook page is Stephen H. Filmmaker. You can look me up there. I usually keep a lot of stuff on there public.
Cool.
But if you want to watch my movies, you can usually just type in, Doctor Who, The Ginger Chronicles. You can type that out, find it.
Right.
So a lot of it can be found on YouTube. A lot of, and IMDb. I've got all my things I've been working on or about to work on there. So,
cool.
There's a lot of ways you can find the stuff I'm working on, and of course, Airborne's on Prime Video, and I definitely recommend, if you want to see it, if you're interested in that kind of thing, I definitely think it's worth it's worth the $8 or $9 to rent, or even if you just want to add the couple of bucks to purchase it so you never have to rent it again.
That's I was like, you know what, man, I look at it, it's just like putting a little money to something you believe in. So it's good.
Exactly.
Man. But dude, listen, I loved Airborne, man. I'm a fan of your stuff. I love all things. I'm glad we got to talk because normally we actually catch up about once a year at Mysticon. That's usually where we
Yeah,
catch up.
that's always, that's
And
one of the things, one of the things I tell people. I'm like, I get to catch up with my friends at Mysticon. So, but because I haven't been able to, because it's been canceled last couple of years, it's like, man, I miss this,
I do too,
camaraderie.
man. It is. There's a whole lot. I tell people they're like, it's that 1 year you come in, it's like, it's just being around these people that are all kind of focused on the same ideas with these independent movies and just super creative and fun, man. I really like that crowd a lot. But I hope that these things start coming back, man. It needs to be
I do too, because this year was, last year when we didn't do it was a big bummer, and then I was kind of surprised when it got canceled this year. But that was an even bigger bummer because it's like that's 2 years we haven't been able to hang out, catch up. But but some things are bringing me. I was actually, if I didn't have such a time crunch, I was up in Blacksburg the other day, and we passed through Roanoke going up there. But I was like, man, I'd really love to catch up with Kenny, but I'm on,
man.
If you're ever,
Blacksburg's only about 45 minutes from here, so it's not too bad. But yeah, if you're up here for doing something, man, hit me up. We'll catch up and see what's happening to it. But hey, listen, thanks for coming on the show, man. I love what you're doing. I hope some people check some things out and can kind of see what's going on with it. But so everybody, please give it up for Stephen Hancock. He's a great friend. He's a great Christian brother, and I love what you're doing, man. And I hope some people check it out. Airborne, it's on Amazon Prime right now. And
go check it out. It's definitely one of the ones that was a labor of love for us. So and yeah, Kenny, it was great being on your show. And it's great catching up. So and I hope we get to do that again here in the future.
I hope so too. If not, we'll just do something, man. I need to come be in one of your movies, man. I need to come do something. I put some money. I've pushed the money toward.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to get you on a set for a while. So yeah,
I see people put up stuff and their Kickstarter, they're doing something. I tend to put. I'm like, you know what? If you really want to support somebody, man, help them get that creation happening, man. I'm glad to see some of your stuff happening through it. I put some money in with Jason Buterin too, man. I love Jason.
Oh yeah, good old Jason, my favorite atheist, as I call him.
So, I tell everybody, they're like, how are you friends with that guy? And I said, dude, I'm gonna tell you, man. I think that guy he's real, and he's one of the best fathers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's what I tell people is that he shows how much he loves his son. So that's my big draw to him. Is that
I see his heart where it is, and I always hope one day maybe that he'll see some things differently. But honestly, man, like I said, we're supposed to love and do what we're doing with it. I love him. I love Johnny Johnson from Darkstone. All those cats. Yeah. They've got great stuff, and I love what's going on with it. Just hey, man.
And they got good hearts too, and you just enjoy having their discussions. First time I ever met Johnny, I was like, "Love your stuff. It's messed up, but I love it."
Yeah, people be like, "What?" I'll say something. I'll say, "Hey, I'm just going to give you a heads up. What's going to happen here?" But I love the stuff, man. I love the aspects of it. I think they're super creative. A lot of great actors that are popping up in these movies. Michael Williams is one of them. Royce Hobson. Yep. There's a bunch of dudes that are just. These guys are so good, and you're like, man, if they just get that little break, it's going to happen for them. So I'm just glad to see they're still doing something, even at the level just where people get to see it and love what's going on with it, man. Just like you, man. I'm glad you're still kicking it around, make things happen, dude. That's the best part of it all. But listen, hey, thanks so much for being on here, and we'll catch up again soon, man. God bless you, man. We will see what's going on. Everybody, go check out Airborne.
Oh yeah, thanks, Kenny. It was great being on here. Hope you have a blessed time coming up.
Thanks, buddy. We'll catch you guys next time on The Rock with Kenny C. See you later.